While we have heroics still able to play in tournaments, I want to use a round of theirs to discuss the use of the double execute, and today, specifically take a look at Inferno. We all know there are some staple nades on maps that are must-haves for a site take. Inferno is one of the biggest for having the same execs run with little need to develop. If we're talking B site, we all know the best smokes are for coffin and CT. Well, that is only 2 smokes, and we have 5 players. This lets us use these smokes twice, and any other utility alongside it either time. So let us take a look at how Heroic runs the double exec, and maybe you might want to try it for yourself, or experiment on other maps. Before going into the POVs and roles, I want to give a quick explanation on why you would want to do this. If we watch, we can see how the first execute uses up some of the utility of the CT players on banana/B, and this then forces them to play on site as they can no longer rely on their utility to delay the next oncoming push if there is one. However, because Heroic still has enough utility, they make the time defending the site really uncomfortable as they can molly off oranges and boxes on the second push, forcing mages to take damage and play too close. This takes this to an immediate 3v5 when the Ts enter the site, and that is even with Astralis' patience and efficiency, as they still have to fight through a molly on the push. So, you may have a question, why don't the CTs just rotate on the first set of utility? Well, we can get deeper into this, but if we watch over on the A site, let's see how much information they have on where the Ts are set up. From 136 to 50 seconds into the round, the CTs have no idea if the Ts are close to top mid. Then Lucky eventually begins to hold it with an AWP, and guess what happens? He gets flashed off from mid and in a few seconds is then smoked off from mid. Well, that's 2 players accounted for on the T side setting up for A. They no longer have any information for the A setup until the second B take is already underway with all of the 5 Ts attacking the B site. From the picture of both sides, they are both receiving enough pressure to assume that their site could be taken, because they don't have information on where the Ts actually are. Astralis would therefore respect Heroic at this point and get ready to defend either site, not just stack one of them. Let me take you through each individual's POV so you can see exactly how Heroic conduct this double exec. Teses watches top mid push from ramp until they want to take banana, in which he flashes off sandbags for his teammates. He then flashes over the top of B to push off CT and threaten the CTs with an entry. He then plays anti-flash for a good amount of time as his team works around the map. He is then the first T to smoke off CT on the first exec, while on the second exec he mollies box and is second in on site, fighting backside and eventually dying to CT. Cadian holds top banana with AWP, flashing off car and mollying corner before he goes back to holding car. He then flashes off CT to peek, but as there's a smoke, he goes back to the half wall to hold the corner. He then lines up for the second smoke for coffin and watches CT push before checking banana occasionally. Eventually watching banana while the bomb ticks down, leaving site to save with his teammates. Stan mollies top banana and pushes into cubby, flashing off corner and getting close to half wall to clear out sandbags for his teammates. He then holds top banana and swings out with a flash to attempt to get a pick on CT. He throws the first smoke for coffin and then gets ready to push for the site for the next set, holding fountain from the back of the squad, spamming out coffin and trading CT. Refresh pushes towards apps after mollying boiler and flashing for a potential mid push, pressuring top mid so that the CTs are discouraged from pushing it. He enters apps from door and clears it slowly, heading towards boiler to clear out Balk. He smokes off long and flashes for short before promptly making his way towards B via Mexico. He then takes the bomb and gets ready to head in, planting default. Shush flashes off top banana from house and joins his teammates banana. Shortly after, he heads towards top mid and mollies off short before flashing over top mid. Shush is the person for the second CT smoke, and enters the site picking up a kill on major, and leaves the site with his team. If we were to reflect back on the idea of what's going on in this round, we can work with the same premise without following those POVs move for move. If we take a look at Heroic versus Evil Geniuses, they bait out some utility with smoking off the site one time and then execute a second time, like the previous round we just saw. The only difference is, you can see they're actually fighting from a 4v5 early on. Refresh pushes apps and dies to Stanislaw. Teses reacts by doing the long smoke, mollying short for himself, but then applies even more A pressure long to keep A players busy. The players on A therefore still don't have sufficient information A, and respect playing both sides again. If we were to take a look at the B action, we can see that Obo and Mihu used both of their mollies before the second smokes plume for the second exec on B, letting Heroic work the site for as long as they needed to, fighting against little utility from EG. The double exec is a change of pace that will challenge the cause of the opposing team. I hope that this breakdown has informed you and inspired you to give it a try yourself. This has been Multiokers, and I'll catch you in the next one. Just before the video really ends, I just want to say, take a look at my website linked in my description. It features simple to read write-ups on these strategies that I break down on this channel, and on top of that, you can subscribe to what will be in the future a weekly newsletter on just things I personally have taken a look in regarding to CS and maybe esports in general. Now, I'll really catch you in the next one.